So in this video, I'm going to go through the Chapter 7 review. I have all the different kinds of triangles we've talked about on the review, but on the actual test, I'm only going to have 4 triangles for you to solve, one of which will be the 2 triangle. So keep that in mind when you're taking the test, but I have all, I think there's 6 of them for you to practice on the review. This first one, I am given an angle, and so I can go ahead and find my third angle to start off with. I'm going to do 180 minus 25 minus 100. Which gets me 55 degrees for my angle C. I'm going to write this off to the side so I have it nice and neat so I can easily see my answers. Now that I know that this is 55, I need to go ahead and solve for my A side length and my C side length. This one is an angle side, so I'm going to use law of sines. So I have my angle for B and my side length for B. I'm going to set that up. I have 10 over sine of 25. It always goes side length over angle. If I forget, this will be on the 3rd page of your test, but on the review it's on the 4th page. It's on the back. This one is law of sines. And I can pick any 2 of these to be equal to each other to solve. So going back, I'm going to start off by solving for my side length A. I know my angle here is 100 for A. So to isolate my variable, I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 100. This is going to give me 10 sine of 100 over sine of 25 equals lowercase a. Remember, lowercase letters are side lengths, capital letters are angle measures. So I am going to type this into the calculator. 10 sine 100 divided by sine 25. This part I want to make sure I'm in degrees. So if I'm on a newer calculator, it will tell me. If I'm on an older calculator, I'll need to go mode and then make sure the word degree is highlighted. So this gives me 23.3. This is a side length, and the problem says to round side lengths to the nearest tenth. On the quiz, some people miss points because they just rounded to the nearest whole number for lengths. Angles are whole numbers, lengths are tenths. Okay. Then I want to go ahead and do the same thing for C, so I'm going to still use the side that the triangle gave me. So 10 and sine 25 for B go together. This time I'm looking for letter C, and my angle here was sine of 55. So now I want to go ahead and get that sine out of my denominator. This is going to give me 10 sine of 55 over sine of 25. And this should give me the letter C, side length. So I'm going to go ahead and type this into the calculator. 10 sine of 55 divided by sine of 25 gets me 19.4. Okay, so on the test, this problem, if it appears, would be worth 3 points because I have 3 answers. Number 2 wants me to solve the triangle. This time it just gives me the length, so I have to draw my own triangle. My A is 26, my B is 51, my C is 21. I'm going to go ahead and start off by solving for my missing angle. So I'm going to do 180 minus 26 minus 51, because all 3 angles in a triangle should add up to 180. This gets me 103. I'm going to write that off to the side. Then I want to go ahead and, now that I know this one, I want to look at what they gave me. I have an angle, side angle. This one is, again, going to be law of sines. So I'm going to set this up. My side length and angle that go together are C. So I'm going to have 21 over sine of 103. I'm going to start by looking for my side length A, which is this one in between B and C. It's always across from the angle it matches. So I'm looking for side length A, and I have sine of 26. I'm going to isolate my variable. I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 26. This is going to give me 21 sine of 26 over sine of 103 equals A. I'm going to go ahead and type that into the calculator. This gets me 9.4, because that number after the first 4 is another 4. Same idea to solve for B. I have my pair of C measurements that go together. This time I'm solving for side B, and it's going to be sine of 51, because that's the angle measure for B. I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by sine of 51. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. This is going to give me 21 sine of 51 divided by sine of 103. Should give me side length B. I'm going to type this into my calculator, which gets me 16.7. Again, this problem on the test would give me 3 points because there are 3 answers here. This next question wants me to solve the triangle, so I need to draw the triangle. Okay, so this one, when I draw it out, I have a side, and then an angle. This one is going to be law of sines. This is the case where I can have 1 triangle, 2 triangles, or no triangles. So depending on what I get from my first answer, because my angle is acute, I may have to solve for 2 triangles here. So I'll start off by setting up my law of sines. I'm going to have 16 over sine of 30 equaling my side length of 32 over sine of B. So the first thing I'm looking for here is angle B. I need to isolate that variable, and I'm going to start off by getting it out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of B. Rewriting this, I'm going to have sine of B times 16 over sine of 30 equals 32. Then I want to get rid of this fraction, so I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is sine of 30 over 16. If I rewrite this again, I just have sine of B equals 32 sine of 30 over 16. Then I need to go ahead and find my inverse sine. So if I rewrite this, oops, I don't have that B anymore, or sine in front of the B anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and type this into the calculator. Which gives me 90. This one is interesting because it's giving me 90. If I subtract from 180, the second angle will be 90 as well, so it's going to give me the same triangle. So what I want to do here is just write these out. I'm going to have B equals 90. Then I want to go ahead and solve for C. It's going to be 180 minus 90 minus 30, which is going to give me 60. Then I want to go ahead and get my side length for C. This is going to be 16 sine of 30 equals my C length, I don't know, sine of 60. So then I just need to isolate my variable here. I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 60. This is going to give me 16 sine of 60 over sine of 30 equaling C. So I'm going to go ahead and type that into the calculator, which gives me 27.7. This next one, I'm going to go ahead and draw it out again. This one is, again, a side-side angle, so law of sines. I'm going to set this up. I have 4 over sine of A equals 8. Oops. Sine of B. Actually, sine of A, I know my angle measure there is 75. So then I want to isolate my variable for B. I need to start off by getting it out of the denominator. I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of B. So this gives me sine of B times 4 over sine of 75 equals 8. I want to get rid of this fraction, so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. This gives me sine of B equals 8 sine of 75 over 4. I need to find the inverse of this. So isolate my variable. Okay, so I want to go ahead and type this into the calculator. It gives me an error, so this means that there is no triangle. Remember, when the calculator gives you an error, there is no triangle. Oh, okay. So, moving on to number 5. Same thing, I'm going to start off by drawing out my triangle. Again, side-side angle, law of sines. So I'm going to set this up. I have 4 over sine of 41 equals 3 sine of B. B is the angle I'm solving for, so I want to isolate the sine of B and get it out of the denominator by multiplying it to both sides. This is going to give me sine of B times 4 over sine of 41 equals 3. I want to isolate the sine of B, so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Sine of 41 over 4. This is going to give me sine of B equals 3 sine of 41 over 4. I want to go ahead and take the inverse sine of both sides to find my angle. Remember, inverse sine always gives us an angle measure. This gets me 29 degrees are whole numbers, so 29. Because this angle is acute and my original angle is acute, I need to go ahead and check it to make sure I don't have two triangles. So what I start off by doing is I take 180 and subtract the angle I just got. Which gets me 151. If it works, 151 will be my second B angle. I now need to add 151 to my original 41 to see if it will give me a second triangle. This gives me 192. It is greater than 180, so there is actually only one triangle here instead of two. If there had been two, I would have taken this green one that I underlined, and then I would have set it up in a second triangle and done it for my angle B and continued to solve. So now that I have that, I need to go ahead and continue solving. So I know there's only one angle B. I can go ahead and find my angle C by taking 180 minus 41 minus 29. Which gives me 110. And I need to go find my final side length for C. So I'm going to have 4 sine of 41 equals C over sine of 110. Then I want to go ahead and isolate my variable by multiplying both sides by sine of 110. Which gets me 4 sine of 110 over sine of 41. Then I just need to type that in the calculator. Which gets me 5.7. Okay, so if it gives me one triangle, it'd be worth 3 points. If it gives me two triangles, it'd be worth 6 points. This next triangle is all three sides. This one is going to be law of cosines. So if I go look at my back page, which will be the third page that you can tear off during the test, these are both law of cosines. If I'm given three sides, it's best to use one of these. Oops. And then if I'm given side angle side, it's best to use one of these three. So I am going to tear this off so I have it. I am going to use that law of cosines. If I have this, I always want to start off by solving for my largest side length. So I'm going to go look for my angle A. This is going to be B is 6, C is 4, A is 8. Then I need to isolate my variable, so I'm going to find inverse cosine. So I'm going to go ahead and type this just straight into my calculator. If I do this, I want to make sure my numerator is in its own set of parentheses and my denominator is in its own set of parentheses. This gives me 104. When I'm doing law of cosines, I only do the cosine part once, and then I switch over to law of sines. So now I'm going to have 8 over sine of 104, because this goes together with my angle A. Then it doesn't matter which side I solve for next. I'm going to do B. And this, oops, B, I know my side length, is 6. And then I'm trying to find sine of B. So I want to start off by getting the variable out of the denominator, multiply both sides by sine of B. Then I want to get rid of that fraction, so I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. I'm just going to rewrite this. Then I want to go ahead and find my inverse sine to get rid of the function in front of B. Then I'm going to go ahead and type this into the calculator. Oops. Okay, so this is going to give me 47 because I'm with an angle, so angles get rounded up to the next whole number. I have 2 out of my 3 angles on my triangle. I can subtract from 180 now. Which gets me 29. Okay, next one is on this page of the review I tore off. Like I said, the actual test will be 2 pages long, with this 3rd page being the formula, so you can tear that off on your own. I'm going to start off by drawing my triangle. So then, see, A is 6, C is 10, B is 123. This one is side angle side, which is a law of cosines. This one, since I am starting off looking for a side, that's on the back of this one, I am going to use this formula. I am looking for my side length B because I have my angle B. So I'm going to have B squared equals A squared, which is 6, plus C squared, which is 10, minus 2 times my A, which is 6, times my C, which is 10, cosine of 123. Before I go ahead and solve this, I want to double check and make sure I remember the formula correctly. I did. Okay. Then I want to take the square root of both sides before I even type into my calculator. And then I can just type this directly into my calculator and it'll give me my answer for B. So I'm going to go square root 6 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 6 times 10 cosine 123. On a newer calculator, the radical will expand with this. On an older one, I just want to make sure I don't close off that initial parentheses. This is the side length, so this is going to be 14.2. Now that I have a pair of an angle and a side that go together, I can use law of sines. I'm going to have 14.2 over sine of 123. When I'm doing side angle side, I want to start off by looking for the shorter side first. So I'm going to do 6 over sine of A, because 6 is the shorter out of the 2 remaining sides. Then I want to isolate my variable, so I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of A. If I rewrite this, I have sine of A equals 14, nope, this is being multiplied, times 14.2 over sine of 123 equals 6. I want to get rid of that fraction, so I'm going to multiply it, the reciprocal on both sides, sine of 123 over 14.2. I'm going to rewrite this on a new line. I have sine of A equals 6 sine of 123 over 14.2. I need to find my inverse sine to find my angle. This is going to give me A equals sine inverse of 6 of sine 123 over 14.2. I need to go ahead and type this into my calculator. Six sine of 123 divided by 14.2 gives me 20.8. This, oops, just kidding. This is an angle. It's going to round up to my whole number, which is 21. So now I have 2 angles. I can solve for C by subtracting from 180. I'm going to subtract 123 and 21. which gives us 36 degrees for our angle C. Number 8 wants me to find the area of the triangle. This is 3 sides, and it's asking for area. This one is going to be Heron's formula. So if I look back at my formulas on the other side, these two are both needed for Heron's. I'm going to start off by finding my S value, and then plug in my S value to get the area. So S is going to be 1/2 of all 3 of those sides added together. So if I type this into the calculator, that gets me 18. Then to find my area, it's going to be the square root of 18 times 18 minus 10 for my first side length, 18 minus 10 for my second side length, and 18 minus 16 for my third side length. And then I just want to type that all into the calculator. Which gives me 48. It wants me to round to the nearest square unit, which is a whole number, so 48 yards squared, because I'm dealing with area. Number 9 is, let me draw out this triangle, 565, 480, 80 degrees. So this one is side angle side. This is the oblique formula. And I am looking for area again. So the oblique area is this. It's 3 separate area formulas. So depending on which angle I have, I use the area formula for that. I have my angle for C, so I'm going to use this one at the end. It's going to be 1/2 my side length for A times my side length for B times sine of my degree, which is 80. Then I just want to go ahead and type this into the calculator. Which gives me nearest whole number, 133,540, because that 0.9 is going to make me round up. This is feet squared. Number 10 wants me to find the vector in component form. That is the one that is written with brackets like this, of the vector that has an initial point and terminal point. So remember, I want to always do terminal minus initial. So I'm going to have 4 minus the -8, because I match up my x values. And then I'm going to have 1 minus my -12. I want to do the math. So 4 minus -8 is the same thing as adding. That gives me 12. 1 minus -12, again, same thing as adding, gives me 13. Number 11 wants me to find 3u plus 2v given my 2 vectors. I'm just going to do multiplication and then combine like terms. So u is getting times by 3, and j is getting times by 2. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. 3 times 3i gives me 9i. 3 times 2j gives me 6j. 2 times -4i gets me -8i. 2 times 2j gets me 4j. Combining like terms, 9 minus 8 gets me I. 6 plus 4 gets me 10j. That is my final answer here. Number 12 wants me to find the component form of v given its magnitude and the angle it makes with the positive x-axis. This formula is not on here. This one is my magnitude times cosine theta times I plus sine theta times j. I'll write this one on the board since I forgot to put it on the formulas. Then I just want to go ahead and plug in. So I'm going to have 2 times cosine of 135 times I plus sine of 135 times j. If I think of where 135 is right here, it's in the second quadrant. So my reference angle is 45 degrees, and cosine in the second quadrant is negative. So I'm going to write negative cosine 45 times I, and then plus sine 45 times j. I need to remember for this one, all students take calculus, and then that chart I had you guys memorize at the beginning of the year is helpful to know my sine of 45 degrees and cosine of 45. So I have 2 times negative square root of 2 over 2 times I, and then positive sine at 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2 j. I want to distribute that 2 in. 2 times negative square root of 2 over 2 is just negative square root of 2 times I. 2 times the square root of 2 over 2j is just the square root of 2j. So as a component, this is with the funny brackets. This is going to give me negative 2. Oops, these are square roots. Negative square root of 2, square root of 2. When I have it with the brackets, I don't write the letters. Number 13 wants me to write the complex number in standard form. So to do this, I want to go ahead and first evaluate my trig functions. So cosine of pi 6 is, if I look at this chart, square root of 3 over 2. Then I have plus I. Sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. Then I want to go ahead and distribute the square root of 5. So it's going to give me square root of 15, because square root of 5 times square root of 3, I just multiply the numbers on the inside, over 2, plus square root of 5 times 1/2 is square root of 5 over 2. And my I for imaginary is at the end. This is a complex number because part of it is real and part of it is imaginary.